To you by Fairlife. Enjoy great taste and nutrition with Fairlife Ultra Filtered Milk.
Welcome back. As reported by ESPN's Field Yates, the Texans exercised the fifth-year options for both quarterbacks C.J. Stroud and defensive end Will Anderson on Wednesday. And Stroud's future in Houston had been a topic of debate this offseason after we saw him struggle in the playoffs. So since winning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors in 2023, Stroud has struggled to recapture that form. The last two regular seasons have been wildly inconsistent, and his 2025 postseason raised a lot of questions. Turning the ball over 7 times in just 2 games. We obviously remember that playoff game against the New England Patriots, where he threw 4 interceptions. Kevin Clark, Jason McCourty joining us now here on First Take. This seems like this was the obvious thing to do here.
Yeah.
We know how fifth-year options work. We don't need to deliberate that. But Kevin, C.J. Stroud now tied to the Texans through the 2027 season, and the clock starts ticking. Do you have the quarterback? Is the answer there? How much of a make-or-break year is this for the number 2 overall pick?
It's huge. They optioned 2 players yesterday with the 5th year. That was Will Anderson and it was C.J. Stroud. Will Anderson, one of the best players in football, automatic, top-of-the-market guy. Don't even think about paying him. C.J. Stroud, that's a much, much different question.
Yeah.
Because last year, they had the same setup as the Seattle Seahawks. Elite defense, above average quarterback play until the playoffs, when C.J. Stroud became the only player in history to have 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles in the same postseason. The reason that doesn't happen very often is normally quarterbacks turn the ball over that much, don't play 2 games. Yet the Texans defense got him into the second round. It was, by the way, statistically, Drake May's worst start in that game against New England. They deserved to win that game on defense.
Yeah.
They did not deserve to win it on offense. And so there are questions here. You just need to get to average. You just need to get to 14, 13, 12th best player in the NFL at quarterback, and you will win the Super Bowl. That's all it's going to take. Be Sam Darnold. The problem is Sam Darnold didn't turn the ball over like C.J. Stroud did in the playoffs. That's why I think it's a big question this year how good he looks.
I look at it as it's not a make or break year just because of what the situation is. Now, it's a crucial year for C.J. Stroud and for the Houston Texans as an organization, because the hope, if you're Nick Cassero, their general manager, is that you decide after this season that, you know what, C.J. Stroud is the guy and we want to give him that contract extension. And you will know where he is when it comes to quarterback contract extensions, because we have the top of the market at $60 million, what will be 60 plus at that point. But then there's somewhere in that middle range in the 40s or 50s. And I think for C.J. Stroud, if he goes down 2026 and he doesn't have an insane year, for the Houston Texans, for him, they still have 2027 with him making $25, $26 million to still decide what his future is going to be. But you want to decide that this upcoming year. You talked about how talented the defense is. Tank Dell, hopefully he's going to be back healthy. You're going to have Nico Collins on the outside. He can remain healthy. For C.J. Stroud, you're getting a better offensive line with some of the pickups they've made. Your second year with offensive coordinator Nick Caley. This is the moment to make that step forward. Last year, he improved. He got injured. Davis Mills comes in, wins 3 straight games. When C.J. Stroud re-entered the starting lineup, he was better. The Texans went on a win streak to end the season, and it looked as though they were going to go on a run. The playoffs were just terrible for him, brutal to watch. So for him, personally, you want to go out this season and have that crucial performance, that rebound, show up in the playoffs in those big division games and have those wins. But it's not make or break, because if he doesn't perform extremely well this year, he's still going to be on the roster next year, and they're still going to evaluate that.
But I think you get into a tricky situation with the quarterback contracts here. The problem is everybody's in this fantasy land about quarterback contracts when it comes to guys like C.J. Stroud or even Bryce Young, where they say, oh, well, they'll just take a below-market deal. Who's taking that and who signed it? Show me the below-market franchise quarterback deal, because it doesn't exist. You're either signing for 60 or you're letting a guy walk. That's been the model every single place with a highly drafted quarterback like this who's highly touted. Nobody's taking $25, $30, $35 million anymore. There's no such thing as a middle-class quarterback, okay? And so I just think that that's why it's make or break to me, is you've got to start talking about that kind of contract, and you can't start talking about it until you prove on the field you can do a full season and playoffs at an elite level.
I've heard some people on our network, elsewhere, talking about the fact that he got the 5th-year option seems like they don't believe in him just yet, and that he's not likely to get the extension right now, which I think is fine because, like you mentioned, Jason, the evaluation is incomplete right now. What would it take for him? Like, do you see it the same way? You think it's fifth-year option, riding this out, they're going to wait it out, or is there any possibility they are using this as a placeholder, more or less, to actually work out the extension now?
No, I think the placeholder is for Will Anderson, who's going to make a Brinks truck worth of money very, very
You think
soon.
that happens this offseason?
They should. Yeah. Yes, they should, because the prices only go. Superstar contracts never go down. They only go up. You want to sound a guy like Will Anderson having the building. He's a culture guy. He's one of the hardest workers in the league. You want to have that guy in the building. With Stroud, no, I would not start talking about a contract just because of what I'm saying. You're really going to start the conversation at what, 4 years, $60 million a year? Because that's the going rate for an elite quarterback. Agents, players, they're not taking below market for that. And so, no, I think everybody's going to play out the string. C.J. Stroud has a prove-it year, and then you get paid. I mean, look at Dak Prescott. Look how when a really good quarterback, and C.J. Stroud can be that, gets close to free agency, they move the market. And that's what I think C.J. Stroud would like to prove.
I think that's the tricky part of it, because we watched Jordan Love sign and it wasn't the $60 million. We've seen quarterbacks in that 50s range. The question mark is, to your point, if you're C.J. Stroud, you want to reset the market as he should. If you're the Houston Texans, you haven't seen enough to give him that type of deal yet. So if you're C.J. Stroud, you almost don't want to do your deal right now this offseason coming off of the playoff performance he had. You'd rather go out there in 2026 and feel as though I'm going to prove to you guys I am the guy this year and for the next 15 years to go out there and be the franchise quarterback. That way, when you're negotiating that deal, it's just a matter of how we're going to structure this $60 million per year.
Reason I think the Love situation is different, two reasons. Number one is that he didn't play a lot before the extension. Remember, they
didn't pick up his
Right, and then they had the Rodgers thing, and so you had the 1 year. The other thing is his arrow was pointing up. C.J. Stroud's right now after that playoffs is not pointing up. If anything, it's neutral right now, and I think that's why you wait and see.
All right, some more quarterback news that came out this week. Lamar Jackson joining the Ravens as they began their voluntary offseason program after new head coach Jesse Minter said he was unsure whether Jackson would be participating and what that level would be. So his attendance drew attention because the two-time MVP typically skips these workouts in the spring. Ravens receiver Zay Flowers yesterday discussed his quarterback's mindset heading into year one with the new staff.
He ready, man. Like, I feel like we answer that every year, and he always ready. So he even more ready this year. He excited about the coaching staff. He excited about getting to work with Coach Declan. So he ready to go. He want to finish. He want to get a ring. So.
Boilerplate answer, boilerplate question. He is right. We do talk about that with Lamar Jackson, Jason, every single year. So as we size up a new staff taking on a quarterback who's had a lot of regular season success but has not been able to get to the Super Bowl just yet, what are fair expectations for Lamar Jackson with this new coaching staff in year one?
Super Bowl.
Yep.
I get married the first time, and me and my first wife don't work out, and I get remarried the second time. It's not for it to be exactly the same. Like, you're moving on. You're moving to something that you're assuming is going to be better. So when they fired John Harbaugh and they brought in Jesse Minter, the expectation was he was going to be able to get them over the hump. Why am I going to say, all right, well, in year one, we just expect you to get back to the playoffs, and then we'll worry about the next 2 or 3 years down the line. Then we'll try to win a Super Bowl. No, like, you have a two-time MVP in your building that, for all intents and purposes, he's locked in. He's ready to go. Courtney, I love the fact that you said voluntary, because we make a big deal of players showing up to things that they don't have to show up to in the offseason. But Lamar's there. He's all in. It's a brand new offense. So, yes, the expectation is going to be for them to win now and to be able to get to the playoffs and perform. And that's not just Lamar Jackson. You brought in Jesse Minter, who is a defensive-minded head coach, who is a play caller, to come and uplift that side of the ball. You signed Anthony Weaver as your defensive coordinator. You're expecting this team to go out there and win. That is the expectation. Get to the Super Bowl. Do something that you haven't been able to do.
I talked to Jesse Minter last week at the owners' meetings, and we were talking about Lamar and what he can do this year. And the point that Jesse made, and I think it's well made, is that the improvements he's going to make are very, very marginal. He is an MVP caliber quarterback. And I think that we focus too much this time of year, and Zay Flowers kind of hinted at it. Is Lamar going to be ready? Is Lamar going to take another leap? He's going to play at an MVP level. It's the guys around him I'm more worried about. Are they going to be able to rush the passer by just adding Trey Henderson? I got news for you. All these conspiracy theories about Max Crosby, The Ravens ended up with a worse player. He's worse against the run. Max Crosby is one of the best culture guys in football.
Yeah.
I just feel like this idea that somehow they were playing 4D chess and they were intentionally sabotaging the physical and all that, that's far-fetched to me. You'd rather have Max Crosby on the roster.
Sure.
And so are they going to be able to play defense in the front seven? Is a guy like Malachi Starks, who was drafted out of Georgia as safety last year, is he going to be able to take a leap and free up Kyle Hamilton to be one of the best players in all of football, which I believe he can be? That, to me, is the bigger question. I'm worried about the other 52 guys. I am not worried about Lamar Jackson. I'm happy he went to voluntary workouts. I'm happy with the statement that made. But I just don't think that focusing on Lamar Jackson for this Ravens team is smart. I don't think that focusing on Josh Allen for the Bills is smart. I don't think focusing on the Bengals with Joe Burrow is smart. I think it's the other guys who matter more in those situations.
Well, the quarterback's always going to draw the eyeballs, especially when these are voluntary workouts. Keep reiterating that. They don't have to be there. But if your quarterback isn't there, and the quarterback makes everything go. We were talking about this with Myles Garrett. Like, he's not at off-season workouts. He's also a pass rusher.
Yeah.
See quarterback, get quarterback. If you don't have your quarterback there, then the offense with a new offensive coordinator can't be at full go. And it's as much a full go when they're in shorts right now doing workouts. But it's about the team-building aspect. He's QB1. He's the leader of your group. With a new coaching staff, an offensive coordinator in Declan Doyle, who's his age, who put out that statement, very pointed statement in February saying, if you have championship caliber expectations, you want to win a championship, you need to start building that camaraderie. Lamar Jackson clearly answering the call right now, even though he doesn't have to be there. But he is. It's different than years past, and we'll see if this ultimately changes anything.